Hello and welcome to Beyond Games, the gaming YouTube channel all about what's next. I'm John Jordan. So what we're looking at today is John Hanke, or John Hank. I never know which way to say it. Anyway, John is the CEO of Niantic Labs. So Niantic Labs is the company behind Pokemon Go. It also has done a few other sort of location-based things. Currently working on the Pikmin game. Also did the Harry Potter game. That one didn't work out quite so well. And back in the day, actually, John was the guy behind Google Earth. So his company that was doing this kind of mapping software was eventually bought by Google, became Google Earth. He sort of launched kind of Niantic as a sort of company within Google. He did some pretty cool stuff. They did a game called Egress. That was the first kind of really big location-based game that sort of scaled and used all the kind of Google Earth stuff. So that's his background. Is very much about location-based entertainment. I have actually interviewed him. He's a kind of very interesting guy, and he's very much focused on sort of getting people out into the environment and getting people out and not sitting at home in front of big screens playing games. He's much more about get out there, see what's going on. He did this other actually kind of really interesting app, which is no longer around. That was basically like you kind of walked around and it told you about kind of historical things that were in your location. So John and Niantic are really into kind of lifestyle entertainment and getting people out there. I mean, it's interesting in his Twitter here. It says he's interested in how to make use of ubiquitous mobile computing in ways that move society forward. So he's someone who thinks in a slightly different way than many game makers. This idea of moving society forward. That's say different to lots of technologists. And I think his when he says move society forward, he's actually talking about physically moving people around. So I think in general he sees this as a big thing for health, and we all need to be more active. And certainly that's been seen with Pokemon Go. But this is what's going on here is a bit of a surprise. I mean, to some degree. I mean, Niantic did do a deal a couple of years ago with Qualcomm. Qualcomm, the well-known US chip company, does a lot of chips for mobile phones and mobile devices. So it's no surprise that that Niantic, I think, is looking at hardware. So when it was in Google, it was actually quite committed to the Google Glass project. So if you remember those little Google glasses, they had a little sort of head-up display on them. So Niantic actually supported that in some of its, or at least experimented using that within some of its applications at the time. And this is obviously, I guess, the outworking of this sort of thing. So this is a typical tease. So excited to see the progress we're making to enable new kinds of devices that leverage our platform. So the key thing for Niantic is their platform. Their platform is a sort of big version of Google Earth that is actually now sort of being open sourced, or not open source, but they're allowing developers to use that platform to create location-based games or games that use location in interesting ways. Because a big hassle is actually building out all the data globally. But if you have a company that's already got that platform, then you can sort of add your experiences to the top of that. Makes it much easier. And obviously you can, there's various different bits of hardware. You could imagine, doesn't have to be a sort of a headset. You could imagine kind of wearables that are sort of tracking things. And it seems like actually the new Pokemon game that's just been soft launched in Singapore is using sort of the distance measured by your phone as one of its metrics. But this is kind of interesting. We don't know what it is. We know it's obviously a pair of spectacles. Now we've seen what we call smart glasses. There's been a few different sort of smart glasses going on, and these generally are not doing anything clever with the eyepiece. Although we can't really tell here. This looks like to me like a fairly standard lens. Doesn't look. We can't see. Maybe there's some sort of thing off here that's going to be beaming information on here. But what we can see here is a little loudspeaker. So this is obviously something you wear, and it's going to give you audio prompts. So we've seen there's quite a few companies who are already doing this sort of thing. There's a number of these kind of smart headsets already out there that sort of let you just kind of using kind of voice activated AI or voice activated assistants. So we can imagine that sort of thing. Pokemon Go, where you're actually listening to audio and it's telling you where to go, and that's sort of feeding into maybe what you see on your device. Or we could be seeing this as a kind of a pure play audio so it's still augmented reality. When we use the term augmented reality, we tend to think about vision. But as we know from things like Google Glass and the Microsoft HoloLens and various other things, this is going to take a bit of time to get ready because you can see here this is already quite thick, so there's obviously batteries in there. And then you've got this thing where you're kind of showing displays on a lens. How's that going to work out? How's the battery life going to be? Are you going to have cameras? Obviously, that was a big problem with Google Glass. They had cameras, and people didn't like the fact that you didn't know if they were taking photos or videos all the time. So there's quite a lot of different things going on here. There's technology. There's kind of the software that runs on it. There's the kind of societal ideas about what is and is not proper in sort of public spaces, what can be recorded. Obviously, privacy is an increasing issue. So lots to unpack here. And he just says this. He's not going to quote anymore. Obviously, they're building towards some sort of release. And Niantic are not a company that is lacking in ambition. So they've understood Pokemon Go is an incredibly successful product, incredibly commercially successful. Niantic is invested in by Google and Nintendo, so two of the most successful software companies in the world, very different kind of fields. But Niantic can raise as much money as it sort of needs. Now, hardware is always difficult. You can lose an awful lot of money very quickly doing hardware. So we'll be interested to see how this kind of stuff rolls out. But in general, we know companies are looking at AI. We know obviously Facebook is very much into VR, and that will eventually become AR. We know Apple has been kicking around AR stuff for a number of years. People expect maybe over the next kind of couple of years, 2023, something sort of mooted around that Apple will release some sort of glass solution. So we can see the technology is coming. The technology needs to be good, but also these other things need to be in there as well. And it is interesting that Niantic Labs, which is basically now a game making company, although interested in other things, is sort of going to be leading this as well, getting its own kind of vision in there. So that's good to see. Sort of thing we love to see in Beyond Games, which is all about how games are changing, how games are kind of becoming much wider in the environment, into society, and also affecting society. And that's kind of something we're really interested in. So if you like that, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching the video, and see you again soon.